Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Glow Up podcast. Today, we are getting into a topic that I think I get asked probably the most on my Instagram and DMs about. I've had so many clients that I've worked through this concept with, and personally, I've had a huge journey with overcoming this whole idea. So I'm really excited to collate all my thoughts today in this podcast and be able to send this to every single person that DMs me asking for this advice, because I've really managed to get quite good at this. And I've defined my 5 key things that I do to ignore all of the evidence and stay locked in on my vision. So let's get into it. So your reality right now is literally not real. It's not the truth. What you physically see with your eyes doesn't mean that that's not what's actually happening behind the scenes. What you'll see with your eyes is just lag. It is literally it's basically just like an old version of the game loading while the new version loads in, if that makes sense. And the moment you keep staring at what has not arrived yet and using it as evidence that it's not coming, you basically just told the universe to send you more of that. Okay, so first, I want to acknowledge something. This is actually genuinely one of the hardest things to do as a human being. Like, I completely understand how difficult this is. I've been through it many, many times, and it's hard. But before we get into the 5 tips, I want to take a moment to remind you of something, because I think we forget this constantly and we need to hear it on repeat. We live in a universe that is made entirely of energy and frequency. Every single thing you see, every single thing you touch and taste and feel, including your literal body, is just energy vibrating at different frequencies. This is not some spiritual thing someone made up. This is literally quantum physics. Energy is what we all are. It's a fact. It's not an idea or an opinion. And this is what makes me lose my mind about it, is that your thoughts and feelings are energy, because everything about our body and how we function is energy, right? And like frequency attracts like frequency, always. We know this without exception. The universe does not pick and choose what it thinks is good or bad for you. It does not decide who deserves what and when you deserve what. It literally just matches your frequency. That's it. And it reflects it straight back to you as your physical reality that you see with your eyes. Which means, and I need you to really sit with this, you can literally manifest anything you want. Anything. There is no ceiling. There is no limit. It takes no more effort to think big than it does to think small. There is no version of what you want that is too big or too unrealistic. If you can feel it as real, the universe can absolutely deliver it. And that is how powerful you are. The only thing standing between you and every single thing right now that you want is simply your frequency. And your frequency is determined by literally what you focus on and what you feel and what you believe to be true about yourself and your life. So when your 3D reality, the physical world around you, the evidence in front of your eyes right now does not match what you are trying to manifest, your brain immediately wants to use that as proof that it's not coming. And that is where everything falls apart. Because the moment that you focus on the lack, you focus on the absence of it and the not yet, you just change the frequency to match more lack, more absence, more not yet. You literally just reprogrammed the game of your life to deliver more of what you do not want. And it's like, I get it. It's hard. We are wired to look for evidence. Our brain is a pattern recognition machine. It is literally always scanning your external world all day, every day, looking for proof of what is real and what is safe and what is around you. Like, it's obviously hard to do this. But when your manifestation hasn't shown up yet and the bank account still looks the same and relationship feels the same and nothing has visibly changed, it is normal for your brain to scream at you being like, see, it's not working. It's never going to work. Like, I'm kidding myself, and feel all of that frustration. And I get it. That frustration's real and it's very logical and it's very reasonable, because if you are seeing in your world that things aren't the way you want them to be, even though you're trying really, really, really hard and you're putting all the effort in, it's obviously going to be really frustrating. But here is what's actually happening on a quantum level. You are a programmer. Your thoughts, your feelings, your focus, that is your code. And whatever you keep inputting into the game keeps outputting back to you. So keep focusing on the lack, you're programming more lack. You keep focusing on abundance, you're going to program more abundance. It's not spiritual. It's not even magic. It's literally just how the game works. And most people accidentally, like I have pretty much my whole life, been programming the exact reality that I do not want because I cannot stop staring at the one that's right in front of me. So that was basically me just grabbing your shoulders and shaking you a little, being like, hey, cut it out. You're powerful. You can have and be and do anything you want, but you just have to remember that you are programming it and you have all the power in the world. And now I'm going to take you through my top 5 tips, because what I'm finding is, and I found this with myself, I understood frequency and energy. I understood how powerful I was, but what I didn't understand and what I couldn't figure out how to do is, how do I show up day in and day out when everything I want isn't happening for me, and everything that I am working towards and manifesting so hard on and putting in the inspired action every day isn't paying off. I'm not seeing opportunities come in. My bank account is getting less. My followers are getting less. My, all of the things aren't going the way that I have intended. It's really hard to keep showing up day after day when your evidence isn't coming in yet. So let's crack into it. Tip number 1 is, remember the 3D is always last. And when I say 3D, I mean your 3-dimensional reality. So if we're thinking of our life as a game, it's like the reality that your avatar is looking around in its game. So your physical reality is always going to be the very last thing to change, always. Think of it like this. When you order something online, I've just ordered some new jeans. I'm very excited about it. You don't cancel it when you make the order because it doesn't arrive immediately. Like, I've bought my jeans yesterday online and I know they're coming. I'm a little bit excited. I'm a little bit anxious to see how they fit on me because I've actually bought them online and I haven't tried them on, but I know they're coming. I know that they are going to be here. I just have to wait for the delivery, and I know that it might come within 3 to 6 business days. Could be more, could be less. I don't know. I'm just waiting, right? Your manifestations work the exact same way. The moment you locked in on the feeling, on the intention of the energy of what you want, it was simply ordered. It was. It is in transit. Your 3D reality is literally just waiting for the delivery to finally show up. The lag between your internal shift and then the external reality showing up is not evidence that it's not working. It's just the delivery window. It's just whether you've got standard shipping, overseas shipping, express shipping. It doesn't matter. It's coming. It's already coming. But every time you look at your current reality and you feel that panic and you remind yourself that it's not there and that the order's not coming, you're going to create more lag, and that order and that shipping is going to be held off and held off and held off because you're not broadcasting the right frequency to attract that in. A moment that really shook me when I really understood this concept was, and I've spoken about it a lot, when I really locked in on avoiding all evidence of my engagement on social media and just acting as if. I spent a good 2 weeks straight completely and delusionally ignoring what my engagement and my insights and my professional dashboard looked like on my Instagram. And I just reminded myself every time I wanted to look for the results to give me that dopamine hit of I'm doing it, I'm successful, things are working. Every time I had that craving, I would give it to myself in a really delusional, weird way, as if I already did. So instead of looking at the result and thinking, okay, the evidence in my 3D says I've got some new followers, everything's working out, my order is on its way. It's more like I don't even bother looking. And when I do look and they're not there, I just reiterate, well, the order is still on its way. I know that it's all just being rearranged and reprogrammed behind the scenes. The fabric of my reality, the game around me, the simulation of my life that I'm looking at is all the puzzle pieces are being moved into place right now. I just am not seeing the actual physical number yet. It's really that simple. And I know how hard it is because in the moment, I didn't know if I'd ever go viral. I didn't know if I would ever have more than a few thousand followers. I just thought I could be the same forever. Who knows? Some people never go viral. So I didn't physically have any clue whether that was really going to happen. But I knew that the only way that I could actually make it happen was by trying, was by giving this a full red hot crack. Because I think a lot of people say they're manifesting and they put the effort in to a certain extent, but they don't allow themselves enough time to actually allow that frequency to be their key state. I think a lot of the time I was saying I am manifesting, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the meditations, I'm doing all the things, I'm posting every single day, sometimes 3 times a day, but the results aren't in. But all the universe was reflecting back to me was, well, the results aren't in, the results aren't in. I'm in a perpetual state of waiting because I was always allowing myself to see it as a lack. But as soon as I shifted and just ignored what was in front of me, not in a negative way, but I just didn't allow it to shift my energy or my frequency every time that things looked really grim in my sales and in my followers, I just reiterated to myself that the order is on its way. You just watch, just wait. It's all coming. It's going to be insane. And this low period is just preparing me for the biggest catapult that you've ever seen. That's literally what I had to do, and it worked for me, and it will work for all of you, but you just have to stay locked in. All right. Tip number 2, stop using your current reality as your screensaver, which is basically what I've been speaking about with that example, because here is what most people do without realizing. And this is what I used to do a lot too. You wake up, you look at your phone, you check your bank account, you scroll through other people's lives, you look at what's not actually here in your reality yet and what you need to fix and what you can be better at and how you can work towards something. And then when you start your day that way, you're going to spend your entire day with that as the backdrop of your energy, of your frequency, a continual, perpetual state of lack, and also just like wanting to be better instead of being in this state of knowing that everything that is for you is coming to you. I want you to think of your current reality. What's actually happening in your life right now is a screensaver. And so whatever is on your screensaver is what your subconscious is absorbing and programming all day long. And you have to consciously and deliberately change your screensaver. What does that look like practically? You wake up and before you look at anything external in your life, you spend just 2 minutes feeling into the reality you are creating, the one that you consciously are choosing for your life. You see it, you feel it in your body, you let it be more real to you in that moment than what is actually sitting in front of you when you open your eyes, in your bank account, in your house, in your job, whatever it is. You actually spend some time feeling into the life that you know is already on its way to you. And this, I know it sounds delusional, but it's not. It's not delusional. It's deliberate programming. That's what it is. I don't want to hear the word, you're being delusional, this is absolutely batshit crazy. No. You are deliberately now programming your life because every single time you wake up and you choose the opposite, you're just programming what you don't want. It's not any more logical to look at the external evidence and see what it is and keep reprogramming that. Why would you do that to yourself? What you need to do is wake up and know that crazy shit has happened in the world. Some people can be the brokest people in the world to becoming billionaires. There is exceptions to the rule everywhere. Everywhere you look, you can find someone that has broken a rule that seems like they couldn't do this and they did, which means that it can be that way for everyone. Miracles happen, crazy things happen. You can have 10 followers and wake up the next day with 10,000. It can physically happen. But it will not happen if you're going to deliberately program every single morning that you wake up how your day is going to unfold. The morning routine that I personally give all of my clients, and the one that I really locked in on when I first started to see huge, massive results in my 3D reality, is the moment that you wake up, you get out a journal, you write it in your phone, even just thinking about it in your head, you answer this question to yourself: how would my highest self show up today? And when I say highest self, I mean the version of you that has everything that you want. Because often what I find is you want to be in this world where your manifestations have actualized and they're in front of your eyes. Like you actually have the money in your bank account, you actually have the keys to your new home or your new car. But when you show up every day, you're not actually showing up as the person who would have those things. And as we know, like attracts like, energy is just frequency. And so you need to be walking around with this lighthearted frequency of knowing that it's already on its way. Like when you've ordered the jeans and the jeans are arriving, you know they're on their way. And so you get to just have fun and enjoy the fact that they're coming. I've also heard of a really good quote recently, or a really good question recently, where it was like, if someone actually said to you, hey, in 3 months' time or in 7 weeks' time or 7 hours' time, you're going to get XYZ, the thing that you're manifesting, how would you show up? How would you be acting? You wouldn't be acting. If you're acting differently, if someone said for certain this is going to happen and showed you like a little mini vision of the future of it happening to you, if you were to start showing up differently day after day since someone gave you that certainty, then you've got a block. You've got a mixed match. Your frequency is off, because you should be showing up every single day with the frequency as if it's certain, because certainty bends reality. As soon as you become certain that that manifestation and that order is on its way from the universe, that's when it's going to come. But if you're constantly showing up every single day without that sense of peace, surrender, and certainty, you are then broadcasting lack. And what happens when you broadcast lack? You're going to give yourself, and the input and output means more lack is coming towards you. So my biggest suggestion is to start your morning by doing it's like a mini to-do list kind of thing. Spend a few minutes feeling into your desires, your dream reality, then go straight into, okay, well, how would she show up is as if it was already on its way, or as if she's already living in that life, and almost structure your day in the life or your to-do list for that day with that in mind. So if you've got to drop your kids off at kindy, if you've got to go to your job that you hate, or you've got to do errands, or you've got to plan content for the week, or whatever it is that you're doing, actually start your day and write your to-do list as if you were her. Now, I don't mean you act as her, like you go start buying random crap and spending heaps of money on things that you can't afford. No, you still accept and you respect that your evidence yet hasn't arrived, as in you don't have millions of dollars in your bank account you can just frivolously spend. However, you show up as if that person is just choosing not to spend that day because they've got something else invested that they're spending their money on another thing. And it's more so like stepping into that frequency of, well, how would she eat her breakfast? How would she speak to her husband? How would she post on her Instagram? Would she post more confidently knowing that she has 500,000 followers instead of 500? So you just have to curate your day from the person you want to be, not the person that is currently living the evidence of your life. Because as soon as you do that, it's kind of magical, because as soon as I started really showing up as that person and owning it, and like being really audacious and just almost stupidly confident that that's who I am, even though I didn't have the actual results yet, people started seeing me like I did have the results. And I would be like, I don't really have a big following, but people would see me and consider me to have a big following. People would look at me and consider me to be making heaps and heaps of money, even though I physically wasn't yet, because I was emitting an energy that I was. And when you emit an energy that you are, what happens in return is that people are more likely to buy from you and people are more likely to follow you, because they're just sensing this level of confidence. So showing up as your future self now is the most underrated hack in manifestation that we all need, that we all think we do, but we don't probably do as much as we think we do. All right, moving on to tip 3, find the feeling before the evidence. So the law of attraction does not respond to your thoughts. I think that's what's confusing sometimes. I feel like we spend a lot of time talking about our thoughts, but your thoughts are crazy. They're so fast. Yes, they're like spells in a way, but it's not your thoughts that are the spell. It's your feelings that the thoughts are created from. Your feelings are the frequency, not what you actually think about, not what you identify with. So if you accidentally start thinking, this is never going to happen for me, you just say, I don't identify with that thought because I know it's going to happen for me. The thought isn't necessarily going to be etched into reality. It's the frequency and how often you can remind yourself that it can change. And your frequency is simply what the game matches to. And so the question will never be, how do I think better thoughts? The question will always be, how do I actually feel the feelings of what I want before it has arrived? And this is the part that feels kind of impossible, when the 3D looks very bleak? And I understand. Trust me, I understand. Because how do you feel abundant when you are checking your account and it's literally empty? You're broke. How do you feel loved when you're alone? How do you feel successful when nothing has taken off yet? How? You find micro evidence of the feeling in your current life. That is the only way that you can get there. You need a version of the feeling that is available to you right now. For example, feelings are not created from reality. Feelings are created from within you based on what you've chosen for yourself. And if you see it in real life and then that causes you to feel happy, then yeah, you could say that the boat you bought made you happy, right? But the boat can't make you happy. You chose to be happy because you saw a boat that's yours in front of your eyes. So the trick here, and what I find really interesting about this concept and what I've really been working with for the past year, is feeling the feeling first, because you have access to every single feeling in the entire world right now. You can close your eyes and feel the feeling of holding your newborn baby for the very first time. Yes, it's obviously a very different feeling when you're in the real 3D reality and you're experiencing it in the game and the simulation for real. However, the feeling is the same when you reminisce about it or when you close your eyes and you feel it. The feeling is the same when you close your eyes and you think about how much you love your partner. It's the same when you close your eyes and you can think about what chocolate tastes like. Feelings are always created within. Nothing drips, like dopamine doesn't get dripped in our ear from the outside. Dopamine gets created from the inside. All of the good feelings that you have are always created within. And so you don't actually need the thing to feel the frequency of what it would feel like to have the thing. You just have to figure out how you can access those feelings before the thing arrives. And sometimes you do that in really micro ways. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of us forget, and I'm a sucker for this, I always forget just how lucky and how abundant I already am. We are always looking for the next thing. We're always looking to be bigger and better, that we forget how much we already have. And if you look back to you 12 months ago, just how proud you would be of what you are currently doing now. You sit into those feelings, because if you're constantly looking for more, you're never going to actually feel like you arrived. And when you feel like you arrived and you can look back at all the things that you've managed to do in the past and all of the things that you actually currently have in your 3D reality, that's when you can start to feel the feelings that are available to you right now. Okay, practical tool. Write down 3 things every single day that give you the feeling of what you're manifesting. It doesn't need to be the thing itself, but like the feeling. So for example, when I wanted to grow my following a lot, I was focusing on what it would look like to have a certain number in my following, instead of figuring out what would it feel like to look at that. And what I realized was the feeling that I was craving wasn't actually the success. It was a sense of being proud of myself and being proud of the fact that I'm helping people and that I did what I said I would do. And so, of focusing on the number to give me the feeling of pride, I would focus on small little ways that I would feel pride via actual evidence in my life in the moment. For example, I would get a beautiful comment about someone saying that this quote has made their entire day, it made them cry. Or I would get a DM saying that, my carousel was so spot on and it has sat with them for a whole week. Or that, some other really positive comment about how I've changed their lives and I've made their lives better in a small way. I sit in those feelings more and I feel the pride and I feel the abundance of what I was managed to do and the ripple effect of that small thing. And then that is the exact feeling, when you actually break it down, that I was after by seeing myself have hundreds of thousands of followers. It's the exact same feeling. It's just seeing it through a different way. And what then happened, obviously, in turn, was that the followers started to come in because I was constantly broadcasting this feeling of pride. And then what happened? The universe delivered more of that feeling towards me. So we have to train our nervous system to live in that feeling before the evidence arrives. All right, let's move into tip 4. Play the game like you already won. I love this one. In the game of life, you are the programmer and the player and the avatar and all the things simultaneously, right? And the most powerful players do not play from a place of hoping they will win. They play from a place of knowing they already have won. And this is what I mean when you embody your future self before reality catches up. It's not about pretending to be that person. It's about making decisions, taking actions, and carrying the energy of the version of you who already has what you are asking for. And so these are some practical questions I want you to ask yourself daily. Number one, what would she wear today? What decision would she make right now? How would she respond to this situation? What would she not be worrying about? Would she be obsessing over the lack right now, or would she be too busy living? The version of you that already has the thing is not sitting there constantly refreshing her bank account, constantly refreshing her emails, constantly looking for approval and validation. She's not catastrophizing about whether things are going to work out for her. She is just living. She trusts the game. She knows it's coming, and she is not gripping tightly to what the outcome's going to be, because she already knows that whatever's coming her way is coming her way. And the funny thing about this is, and I've said this to a lot of my clients as well, no matter what level you're at, you will always be back at this point, because even someone that you look up to right now, like I used to look up to a certain person I followed who had 15,000 followers. And I remember looking at her just thinking how amazing she was, how absolutely successful she was, just how much she was killing it. And I was like, if only I could be like her, then everything would be okay and everything would be better. And now I have more followers than her, and I have more success on paper, I guess, than her. But I don't feel hugely different. I actually feel like I've still got I'm only at the very beginning of my journey. And so regardless of the actual results in your physical reality, you are always going to be back at this point where you're going to want more, and you're going to want to be imagining what the next version of you is going to be doing. So why would you spend your whole game playing it from a version of lack, playing it from a version of gripping so tightly to outcomes? Or would you rather go back and play your game by playing, by having fun, by living in the moment, by doing crazy things, by being brave, by showing up even when the evidence isn't there? Like, that's what's changed so much for me, was letting go and surrendering to the fact that life is just a really fun game to play, and I'm overthinking the F out of it instead of choosing to play it delusionally, choosing to have fun with it, and allowing myself to fully trust that the outcome I want will be the outcome I get. Okay, tip number 5, when it gets hard, audit your inputs. This one is my favorite one from our main manifest challenge. It was the one that I think most people were most shocked by with themselves. And this is the practical one that I feel like we avoid doing because it seems hard on the outset, but it's actually not. It's quite simple when you start it. You're like, holy moly. So you cannot hold a high frequency manifestation mindset if you are constantly consuming the low frequency content all day. And so your inputs become your programming. That is full stop. That's what it is. And so if you are constantly scrolling, you're constantly having conversations, you're constantly reacting, triggered by the external reality that you're currently living, you are feeding this game, this consistent lack all of the time. And I don't want you to take this as toxic positivity, because absolutely you can't pretend everything's fine, because when you pretend everything's fine, again, you are coming from a place of lack. But it means you're being ruthlessly intentional about what you are allowing into your energetic field every single day. And so these are some practical things I want you to ask yourself. 1, what are you watching first thing in the morning? Big one. 2, who are you spending the most time with, and how do you feel after? That's a huge one, because when I first started my Instagram, none of my friends and family have ever done anything like this. None of my friends and family have ever started a business. And starting like that, being the first to do it, can be really, really overwhelming when you don't have anyone else in your life to show you the way or to pave the way forward for you to know that you are capable to do it. And so I created in my life a lot of expanders around me that were so successful, but also came from similar backgrounds, so that I knew I could do it. The people you spend time with matter so much. I became part of circles that I never thought I'd be able to be a part of. But I knew that if I didn't push myself to become part of those circles, I would always feel like I was never going to be able to achieve it. No, number 3, what music are you consuming and what feelings does it create in your body? Music is the most underrated hack in manifestation. I'm constantly creating playlists for different energies and frequencies I want to put myself in. So get onto music and start using it to your advantage. 4, what content are you feeding your subconscious on repeat? What are you constantly feeding? What are you constantly reacting to? What are you constantly reiterating in your head? Do a 24-hour thoughts audit. Georgie Stevenson did this one with me at the beginning of my mentorship with her in Conscious Creators, and it's the most eye-opening thing that you can ever do is by spending a whole entire 24 hours being hyper vigilant of how your energy, your frequency, and your thought patterns are. And you'll realize often just how low frequency you are being, and the input that you're putting into your life doesn't make you feel lit up. It doesn't make you feel expansive. You're noticing what you don't want instead of what you do want. So I really want you to personally start to protect your frequency with podcasts, music, content, rituals, the things that keep your programming nice and clean and not overwhelmed and not like the things that are showing you more lack. But also remind yourself and go back to the episode about the lighthouse that you don't need to try and be more high frequency. It's impossible to try to be more lit up. What's the problem is you are actually allowing yourself not to shine. You're holding yourself back by looking at things in this game of life, in this simulation in front of your eyes that are blocking your frequency. Your frequency is already pure. It is already perfectly whole and bright as ever, broadcasting from your soul within what's meant for you and what you know within you're meant to have. However, you're just covering it up with costumes, and you're covering your avatar up with blocks and putting fences and brick walls around you that are stopping your frequency from just shining. And I think these last few months particularly, I've just been letting all my guard down and surrendering to the fact that I am who I am. And what I want for myself is simply going to happen. I can see it so clearly in my mind, which means it's on a timeline that's available to me. And I'm so excited to wait for my delivery to get here and watch bit by bit the code of my simulation around me change to be my dream life. I just know it. And it's going to be a constant, never-ending process because that is the game. That's the game of life. We're constantly recoding, we're constantly reprogramming in order to have fun while we're here for this short time. All right, to bring it home, your 3D reality right now is just old news. It's yesterday's code. It's the version of the game that was programmed by the old you before you woke up and remembered that you are the one holding the controller. What you focus on, you create. Simple. What you feel, you attract, and what you program, you live. And yes, I'm not going to say it's not hard. It's hard. It is generally one of the hardest things about being a conscious human in this game of life, because everything around you is screaming, look at me, focus on me, use me as your proof. And you have to choose every single day to look past it and to trust what has not arrived yet. And that takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of practice, and it takes a kind of faith within yourself that does not need evidence for you to survive or for you to feel a certain way. But what I do know is that the people who learn to do this, the ones who can hold the frequency of what they want, even when the 3D says otherwise, those are the ones who look back one day and go, I cannot believe how fast it all came in once I stopped looking for reasons it wasn't working. You are the programmer. You can program deliberately. The game will always deliver exactly what you put in. Now go put in something good. Thank you so much for listening, guys. And as always, make sure you're subscribing, liking, and following me for more of these beautiful episodes. I have so many exciting things in the works for the future. And come chat to me on Instagram and tell me what you'd like for me to talk about, because I would love to get your feedback. I'm doing this to help, and because I love talking about it, it helps me also embody it more for myself. So come on Instagram and tell me what you would like me to talk about for future episodes, because I'm absolutely loving this so much. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, and have a beautiful rest of your day.